Sup, dude?
What up, dude? I'm kind of confused. We were going to talk about ESPN. Is that when you can read people's minds?
No.
Oh, then I'm not prepared for this podcast.
Well, we are going to talk about baseball. I know you really enjoy watching baseball on TV.
Oh man, I love it on TV. I love it live. Uh, I encourage my kids every day to play baseball.
I know you think it's a really exciting sport.
It is, man. I can't get enough of it.
I'm going to come over and encourage Noah to play baseball this year.
You're not invited. You're not invited to come over. Not invited.
Uh, hey, I actually did a post on this the day we're recording it, but a few months back, I kind of threw myself out on a line and posted something to the likes of um, kind of talking to men that fantasy football and watching sports, watching ESPN will never make you a better man because there's just a whole lot of other important things to do that are better for you that can make you a better husband, father, friend, leader, Christian than watching TV. Right. And that was kind of my take on it. And a friend of ours, he was a recent podcast guest. He politely made a comment that changed my perspective. And it started with "it depends," right? And I think that is true in any scenario, in any situation. I don't think there really is like a black and white to any of these conversations that we have and ideas that we have. And his comment really kind of opened my eyes and gave me a little bit of perspective and put some thought towards it. And I recently experienced uh, what he had mentioned as kind of "it depends," right? Maybe watching ESPN in a certain way with some intentionality can make you a better man. And I experienced that just recently. We can go into more of that experience in a second, but I don't know any thoughts on that. I know you have some thoughts.
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts. One, I actually don't think baseball will ever bring you closer to Christ or your family. I'm just kidding.
I disagree.
Um, yeah, me too. We play a lot of catch. That would make you proud. We play a lot of catch. And then actually when we were in Wisconsin, we found I don't know what you call them in baseball. It's not a batting cage. It's like a batting cage, an outside batting cage, but where you pitch. It's like a netted in, you know, basically a pitching mound and a home plate, so a batter's box,
Yeah,
and you practice batting in there. So I don't know. Would that be called a batting cage? I don't know.
yeah, batting cage.
Sure. So we went in there and man, we played in there for a long time, pitching to the kids. They were batting, hitting, and so we actually do a lot of baseball related activities because my kids, for whatever reason, are drawn to
Because
that
baseball's
disgusting sport.
awesome.
No, it's not. But he, I guess I'll give you credit for two things. Putting yourself out there, you tend to, so you're an opinionated guy, and we all are opinionated people, but you're not afraid to share that, and then you're also not afraid to grow from it, which I really appreciate. Um, I'm much more hesitant to be, and I've not always been this way. I'm much more hesitant to say like this way is right and this way is wrong. And recently, and I didn't, we had a conversation with somebody that we care about, and he was talking about why he doesn't have his kids in sports and kind of gave his opinion on the, and they do a lot of like really cool things with their family and camping and all kinds of stuff. And it caused me to think, and he had an opinion like, hey, we have a certain amount of time and um sports just I don't see them as that important. I'd rather be having my kids doing these other things, camping and hiking and fishing and skiing, whatever. All awesome things. And it just it made me think about it. I thought about it quite a bit. And what the conclusion I came to is I think what's right for one family, one person. it is not right for every family and every person. And I would say that even to your point of black and white, dude, I agree. You find, for me, like Christ is life, and you accept him, you go to heaven. Like those are things that are very true to me. But even in the context of faith, did you find two Christians that agree on everything about faith,
Yeah.
about their faith, and two that profess that they have dedicated their life to Jesus in the pursuit of him, and find those two that just agree on everything, right? And find those two that potentially don't disagree very, very strongly on certain things within that same faith.
Right.
Is you're not, it's not gonna, you're gonna, it's much easier to find the latter. You're gonna find people that disagree vehemently, and they'll both claim Christ as number one in their life. And so that lesson to me is, I think we too often, especially, culturally, we too often think our way is the right way. And that like, we generalize certain things like watching TV and these different, um, things that you and I personally don't partake in, right? Like certain things that you and I just, like, I personally, for me, for my life, is a waste of time. But that doesn't make it right or wrong. Like the idea that sports, in my family anyways, the idea that sports aren't super important. Like that's not my reality. Sports are very important in our family and in our life. And it goes beyond the athletic pursuit. It goes into, and I know you're very similar, my opportunity to coach and influence to influence boys and young men, and ideally help them to have something in their life or an influence that goes beyond their fatherless home situation. Like sports is a beautiful place to do that.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of things that are just very, very uh that for our family are critical to just the development and the flow of our family, and in a good way, right? Anything could become anything could become bad if you idolize it, worship it. But I think, to your point, man, there's so many. If you're very intentional in what you're doing, if you go into a coaching gig and be like, I want to influence boys and young men to become men, like that's my primary purpose of coaching football. It's very different than going in and be like, I want to win. I want to go to the championship and just win games,
Yeah.
right? So it just all depends. To your point, depends. It depends on how you pursue these endeavors, and what your, the intention you have behind it. And even things like, dude, what's one of our favorite nights that we spend as a family is movie night, dude.
Yep.
Like we make popcorn and the kids get all excited. Dude, it's the one thing I could be like, hey, it's family movie night. And the kids will go put on their own pajamas and will go do everything on their own, like no complaints. And everybody comes down ready for bed, showered up and ready to go because it's movie night.
Yep.
Like that's not bad, right? It's and we get to. I saw you did a post on it. We went to the movie theater and watched Inside Out 2. Dude, we had some really good conversations from that
Yeah,
movie.
dude.
Really good
Yeah.
conversations. So like, to the idea that these things are bad. Now, if all you do is that, like, maybe diversification is good. Maybe you should do other things, but maybe not, dude. Maybe not.
Yeah. I think the difference is just, again, um, the intentionality behind it. And that was the point of Peter Ostapko. We had him on a podcast. He wrote the Kinsman Journal. And his point was like, hey, watching ESPN isn't bad if you do it in an intentional way. Like, and this is what I experienced, So we decided to watch the College World Series. I played college baseball, love the sport. At that level, it's like really good baseball, but there's still a lot of things that can happen, right? There's a lot of ups and downs, roller coaster ride, and it happens every year. It's exactly what happened this year. Um, Texas A&M was in the finals playing Tennessee. We're originally from Texas, and so like we wanted to watch And it was a 3 game series. It went to the third game, like it normally always does. But we put it on the calendar, like as a family. I said, "Hey, this is on the calendar. We're gonna sit down together as a family. We're gonna watch this." And like my wife even commented like on Monday night for the final game. Like we all had our blankets. We were all like watching it together. We were all rooting on for Texas A&M. There was ups and downs. It was a roller coaster of a game. And like my wife looked over at me and she's like, I really enjoy this. This is a lot of fun. Cause like we were bonding and like my son was, he had his little baseball bat and he was like practicing like he was the batter and swinging when the pitch would come in. And we were talking about strategy and mistakes and leadership and like all these great opportunities for conversation, just watching college baseball. And it honestly was a fantastic experience uh, for me as the husband, as the father, as the leader of the family, to just sit down and watch a baseball game, but watch it with intentionality and of having really intentional conversations along that journey. And it really changed my perspective on not it's not always bad to watch ESPN, right? Um,
unless it's baseball, but yeah. Yeah, no, and it's true, man, because you also we were out late last night. Um my daughter's in 3-on-3, and 3-on-3 is funny because this is basketball. Um that's supposed to be like the off season, like chill, whatever. And dude, these girls are like super competitive. They went to the championship. They did had a great whatever 3-on-3 season. They played really well. And they were like, I mean, they played really well. Like it was good basketball. A lot of times, there can be, especially for at these younger ages, it can just be like rough to watch. But like sports have elevated to such a high level, and like women's basketball in particular. I mean, like the Caitlin Clark and the Angel Reese, like these players are like, dude. They were saying that I don't know when the game was, maybe it was last night or tonight. I don't know, whenever. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, it's the first time since they graduated college, went pro, that they're meeting up again. I don't know how familiar you are with, Angel Reese from LSU, Caitlin Clark from Iowa. I mean, they just they like brought a different level of attention to women's basketball. They're saying that seats for this game are going for $9,000 a pop.
dang,
$9,000 a pop for a WNBA game.
that's crazy.
So it's crazy, but my point to that is you know, my daughter, they won, they had to win to go to the championship. They went, and then it was a tough game, and there's questionable calls, like all the things that all the curveballs that can be thrown were thrown, and they ended up losing, and then you have to work through defeat, right? And dude, a lesson like it's very hard for less true consequence, like life consequence. Um, it's very difficult to create the environment of adversity and working through losses that are very significant to you know to my daughter. It was very significant
Yeah,
in the scheme of life. A 3-on-3 basketball off-season game that they lost, like, is it really that consequential? Most likely not, but it opens the door to having a lot of different conversations as well, right? And if your favorite team, like people get very emotional about their team losing, and those are great conversations. And I do think there's a level of grown men trying to fight each other over a football game and a loss
sure,
that they did not play in. I think that's pretty stupid.
of course.
But um, but that aside, there's opportunities to um in a relatively consequence free, truly consequence free environment to experience all those things and be able to, like, have conversations surrounding them, and how would you react in the situation and all that kind of stuff. So um yeah, man, it's an interesting, I think it's an interesting argument. I think the bigger argument too is, hey man, like it depends. It depends is a completely acceptable and probably a great place to come from, because it also opens your ability to be like, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about this thing.
Yeah,
And usually, if just like what do you call it, just a spoiler alert, usually you are wrong, right? we typically there's typically a better way. And if you're never open to exploring it and asking the question and taking action on it, then you're going to be living it at the level that you know, which is going to be there is no question in my mind that the level that we're living at is below is below the potential where we could be at any given time in most places in our life. But a lot of us don't think of it that way, right?
Hope.
We just think of it in terms of I'm right, you're wrong. TV bad, what I do good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Um, you should watch more baseball. It's
Um,
it's
I think
it's good.
I think that's a level of potential that I'm living at that might be low that I'm okay with. That I accept, that I accept is completely cool.
You know what?
Um,
I'm gonna get us tickets to go watch some Rockies baseball.
man, I enjoy going to the games and like having fun, like hanging out with people, but what am I gonna do the entire time we're at a Rockies game? I'm gonna sit there and BS with you.
Talk. Yeah,
Like
you're not gonna watch baseball.
I'm not gonna watch. I'm gonna be like, oh, dude, it's seventh inning. Like, who's winning? Like, that's the level of and Rocky's baseball. I don't know. I know last year they lost like a thousand games.
Yeah, they're
So like, are they better this year? Because like my understanding is that
not
that's
really
really not watching baseball.
fair.
I don't know. I had a great time at the game we went to in Milwaukee. That was a lot of fun
That
a
was
couple
fun.
years ago. No idea who won. Couldn't tell you, but we had good seats. It was awesome, man. It's a great time.
Good stuff. All right, dude. High five. Fist bumps. French fries. See ya.
See ya.